Hi everyone, welcome back to episode 5 of Anything and Everything with Citrus. Today's episode will cover the rise and fall of Theranos and Elizabeth Holmes. I won't be joined with my co-host Prince, but I'm going to try my best. This is the first episode that I've done by myself, and so I wanted to choose a topic that really piqued my interest. And so this was that topic. I saw a bunch of YouTube recommendations that would talk about Elizabeth Holmes because there's a show called The Dropout. I didn't watch the show, but I watched two videos that were recaps of certain episodes. And I was like, yeah, I get the vibe. So yeah, after that, I became really interested in the story of Theranos and I wanted to share it with y'all. I wanted to share it with my family, my citrus family. Okay. I wanted to start this episode with a quote by Elizabeth Holmes. It reads, "This is what happens when you work to change things. And first, they think you're crazy. Then they fight you. And then all of a sudden, you change the world." Um, so that's the quote. Who is Elizabeth Holmes? Elizabeth Holmes is the founder and CEO of Theranos, a health and technology company that marketed a new mode of blood testing. It promised to run hundreds of tests just from pricking your finger. However, that company has now crashed after allegations against the company's business and technology practices. At its prime, though, back in 2014, Theranos was worth $9 billion, but it's now worth zero. So now we're going to start the introduction. Okay, everyone, let's close your eyes. Okay, we're going to travel back to 1984. Can you feel it? In this year, the legendary artist Prince released his song Purple Rain. The Tetris block game was released. The movie Footloose hit theaters. I am sorry to say, I have never seen Footloose. I don't even know what it's about. I know it's dancing, I think. Maybe the first MTV Video Music Awards aired, and it featured an iconic performance by your girl, Madonna. We love her. Okay, but it's okay. We can open our eyes now. We got 1984 out the way. But 1984 is also marked by the birth of someone who would shake the medical field in a way never seen before. Elizabeth. Elizabeth's family in early life. Who is she? Elizabeth Holmes was born on February 3rd, 1984 in Washington, D.C., a place known for its many museums, national historic landmarks, and the White House. Oh, if you go to the DC area, you should go during the Cherry Blossom Festival. It's super pretty. The flowers are very nice. You'll have a good time. There were no rides there. When I first got there, I thought it'd be, I don't know, like a carnival. And so it's just a lot of pretty flowers, but you'll really enjoy the experience. It just, yeah. She's actually, but back to Elizabeth, she is actually born with a head start in life. She's the great-great-granddaughter of a famous surgeon, Christian Holmes, who married the heiress of the Fleischmann Yeast Empire. But I think after generations, there's not really much money there in that empire. But her parents still have influence. So it's not like, oh, she wasn't born with the silver spoon. No, she was basically born with the gold one because her mother, Noelle Holmes, worked as a foreign policy and defense aide on Capitol Hill. And her father, Christian Holmes V, we'll just call him Chris, worked for a government agency after serving for a time as the vice president as Enron. Oh, fun fact. Is it a fun fact? It is just a fact. Here's a fact about her dad, Chris. The company Enron that Chris was vice president of was an energy company that collapsed from fraud. So fraud runs in the family, like father, like daughter. Okay. But even though he lost his job there at Enron, he finally got a new job in the Houston area in Texas. While in Texas, Elizabeth was pushed to learn Mandarin and to follow her great-great-grandfather's footsteps as a physician. But she soon found out that she was actually terrified of needles, which influenced her idea of Theranos. Okay, we got her early childhood out the way, and now we're going to talk about her high school and college life. Liz is able to speak Mandarin. She's actually able to speak it so fluently that she got into Stanford summer classes in Beijing, China. I don't think they accept high school students at all, but she got there when she was in her senior year of high school. And she was 17, maybe just turned 18, but definitely 17, I'm pretty sure. So 18 at most. Okay. There she met a man called Sunny Balwani, a man that was 20 years older than her. Remember, she was probably 17 at this time, and he was 20 years older. So that is very nasty. And Sunny is worth $40 million from the dot-com boom of 1999 and was a staple person in this story. Remember his name, Sunny Balwani. Sunny Balwani. Okay, we got it. Okay. Also, while she was in China, she was able to witness the severe acute respiratory syndrome, or SARS, outbreak. This and her fear of needles motivated her to make a change. By the time she returned from China, she worked on a patent for 5 days straight with only 2 hours of sleep. At this time, she wanted to make a wearable patch which would be able to like constantly test blood of those who wore it and give a dose of medicine in real time. She got into Stanford officially, though, in 2002, where she decided to study chemical engineering. While a freshman at Stanford, she became the president's scholar, which came with the $3,000 stipend to go toward a research project. This is the start of Theranos. At 19, she dropped out of Stanford after only being there for a few semesters to devote all of her time and energy to it. It was actually originally called Real-Time Cures, but it was changed as to not cause any suspicion. And she was right about that, because Real-Time Cures versus Theranos, I don't know. Theranos has like more of like a fancy, like, this is medicine feel. Okay. To start, she had set up an office in an area that was kind of considered considered very rough. At one time in the parking lot of the office, she was actually nearly missed being shot. If you watch the show The Dropout, which I didn't, but I did see a scene where you could see like the bullet hit the car window. It was very interesting. Okay. But despite its humble beginnings of, Theranos, she received a $1 million investment from one of her neighbors, which is impressive because it's $1 million, but not super impressive because it's her neighbor. This will actually be the first of many investments she would receive from people that weren't her neighbors, probably. No, they weren't her neighbors. In fact, by the end of her first year, she had garnered about $6 million in funding. So she was making major bag. Change of plans. So you know how I was talking like, oh, she made that patent after she came from China, and it was like the patch, scratched that. Scrap it. It's no longer here. Instead, she's pursuing blood testing through a cartridge and reed system by having patients prick their fingers, which would put blood in a small cartridge that would be put in a machine that would allow the test to be done. She wanted the machine to perform tests right away and beam information using the internet to a lab where experts would interpret the results and send back a report. But this was really different from how traditional testing is done. In fact, so we're gonna be getting our blood test now. We're gonna close our eyes again if you want. Okay. You go to the doctor's office and you are sat down and you're going to be asked to make a fist. Okay, we're making our fist. The technician will tie a rubber band on your arm, and then once they see your vein, the technician will clean the area and insert the needle. You might feel like a little small prick, and once the technician has drawn enough blood, they will take the needle out and put an adhesive bandage over the site. You may be asked to press firmly on the site to stop any bleeding. Okay. Open your eyes if you want. If you close them, why? Okay, we're gonna cover why would people want Theranos. So the process of blood testing be very nerve-wracking. We just talked about it. Having to get that rubber band tied on you, it's kind of nerve-wracking. I've had it done, and I was like, ooh. In fact, it's actually estimated that at least 10% of American adults have a fear of needles. And it's actually likely the number is much larger, as the most severe cases are never documented due to the tendency of the sufferer to avoid all medical treatments entirely. So the need for Theranos was there, but the medical advancement wasn't. How was Theranos different, though? We kind of discussed it, but let's discuss it more. Theranos even wanted to scale down the machine for blood testing. The usual machines are the size of several business photocopiers. The Theranos machine would be the size of a personal computer. When I looked at pictures of it, I think they mean like an old personal computer, like those like big desktop computer boxes. If you know, you know. but his dimensions were 17 and 3/4 inches high, 22 inches long, and 13.5 inches wide. And though the idea of the machine would allow the medical field to expand greatly, it would be entirely impossible for a number of reasons. For example, the components would interfere with each other when placed in close proximity due to heat, light, and electrical activity. The volume of the blood would be too small, so they would have to dilute it, but that would mean even more inaccurate results. So it's just like, it was impossible. It wasn't going to work. Okay. But she still furthered her research and her prototypes. Right now she has her prototype. Oh, right now it's 2006. Okay. And she just made her Edison model named after Thomas Edison. This product never worked, but Elizabeth's ethics were definitely questionable because she started running pilot tests on cancer patients with the company that we're all very familiar with, Pfizer. So yeah. Actually, never mind. This is actually when her obsession with Steve Jobs really became like, oh, she's obsessed with him. Elizabeth is known for, yeah, her crimes, but also for her strange obsession with Steve Jobs, like I just said before. She even scheduled marketing meetings on Wednesday like Jobs did and used the same marketing firm he used. She recruited the former senior VP of Apple and copied Jobs' signature black turtleneck. Oh, if you look up pictures of her, I don't think I've seen her without the black turtleneck. It's very interesting. Oh, you'll see her on the thumbnail. I'm going to include her having a black turtleneck on the thumbnail. For those that are listening on Spotify, I'm also on YouTube. So it's the same name, Anything and Everything with Citrus Podcast. Okay, back to the story. Oh, this is also about the time she would use like this baritone voice, and it became like, oh, when you think of Elizabeth Holmes, you think of black turtleneck and low voice and piercing blue eyes that never blink. Her baritone voice was so low though. It's very interesting. And it's like, I'll repeat the last sentence I said so then you can hear like the difference. So this is Elizabeth Holmes' voice up here, and this is her voice down here. And I'll repeat the sentence. This is also the time her baritone voice became an Elizabeth Holmes staple. Yeah. How did I do? Did I sound like Elizabeth Holmes? No, I didn't. Okay, but I tried my best, and that's what counts. Okay. Do you remember Sunny Balwani? I was the man that said, remember, Sunny Balwani. Well, he is back. And by 2009, he and Elizabeth were actually now dating. Around this time, he also joined, but they were close even before they were dating. But now they're dating, 2009. Okay. Around this time, he also joined Theranos as the chief operating officer, who acted as the second in charge. This is going to be pertinent to his trial. So right now he's on trial, and he was saying that no, he was just an investor and that he had nothing to do with Theranos. But just recently they uncovered like his text messages with Elizabeth, and he like texts like, oh, I'm over everything in Theranos. I don't know if it was like a sassy message, but I'm reading it as sassy. So yeah, so his message is coming back to bite him. But yeah, he was second in charge. And his appointment came as a shock to many of the Theranos employees because he didn't have any medical background. Rather, he had one of software, which I mentioned during the .com to 1999 boom, where he got his net worth of $40 million. But while at the company, Sonny became quite the tyrant. He was constantly intimidating employees and carefully watched CCTV video of them. I think I even read that he would like put like code words or something like that, or like somehow like read their messages. So like none of the employees, like if they were trying to communicate like, hey, isn't this kind of sus, this Theranos stuff, they couldn't do that. And also, but they couldn't do that anyway because they had to they would have to sign NDAs before they come into the company and even after. So that's kind of like why Theranos was able to survive so long. It was also able to survive a long time because the way like the company was set up inside, a lot of like the different departments were like separated. So like nobody could really like, oh, hey, this doesn't make sense. So yeah. Oh, talking about the CCTV thing, there were a former employee said that he was like a new dad at the time, and Balwani came up to him and said that I'll fix you, whatever that means, and that him working an 8 hour a day shift was not good enough. So if that gives you an idea about who he is. Oh, he's also known for, which I kind of found, I giggled when I read this. He's also known for like using like words that didn't fit or like made up words. And so like the engineers of the company, when they would have business meetings, they would like kind of like have like an inside joke, and they would like make up words or like use words in wrong context because they knew that Sunny would start using it too during the meeting. So yeah, so he was a poser. Okay. um Now we're done with Sunny, kinda. We're done with Sunny. I'll mention him again probably. We're gonna talk about Walgreens and Safeway. They're like pharmacies. Fast forwarding one more year later, Walgreens and Safeway were collabing with Theranos to create wellness centers. These centers would be like sections of the store where patients could get blood tests using Theranos technology. Um, and then from this collab, Elizabeth actually received $105 million as an investment. I think this was like one of the biggest chunks of investment money she got, because I think she got $600 million worth of investments. But yeah, so this is from Walgreens and Safeway. And even though the wellness centers went up promising to use Theranos technology, they actually didn't. They used third-party machines that were transported in FedEx trucks whose transportation would make results inaccurate. And she kind of lied though, because I think they agreed, Walgreens and them agreed because they thought that, oh, she's so reputable, she has investors and stuff like that. But she would put like the logos of like companies that she didn't really have the backing of. I mentioned Pfizer, which she kind of had the backing of, but not in the way that she put it. Like she would have like documents that she would give out, and they would have like Pfizer on it. She even claimed that she had the contract of the U.S. military. So she was trying to be like, oh, look at me. My name is Elizabeth, and I have a great idea that has medical backing, but it wasn't really true. Oh, so now we're going to go to the end of Theranos. It is October 15th, 2015. The Wall Street Journal released this like scathing article about her that exposed the lies of Elizabeth and Theranos. This actually caused people to start questioning Theranos and its secrecy. People even found out that the Theranos machine can only perform 12 out of the 250 promised tests, and the results of those 12 would actually be inaccurate and vary greatly. So it did not do what it was supposed to do. And so how did Elizabeth respond to this? This caused Elizabeth to start trying to control all the damage done to Theranos and his reputation. She started first by breaking up with Sunny Balwani and firing him. But, and so you may wonder, was justice ever served? Because she was trying to control the damage. Kind of. The investigations into Theranos had already begun by that time. The FDA started inspecting Theranos. A criminal investigation was approved by the Securities and Exchange Commission, and then investors began suing Elizabeth and her company. Theranos actually officially dissolved in September 2018. And now we're going to go to the trial of Theranos. It's kind of about the justice too. After 7 days of deliberation, a jury found Elizabeth guilty of 4 counts of wire fraud and conspiracy to commit wire fraud. And Holmes could face 20 years for each conviction and a $1 million fine for all counts of combined. But I don't think this is enough, or because, okay, the reason why I'm saying this is because despite everything, many of like her people that know her in like Inside Edition like interviews, she can be seen like walking around San Francisco chilling with her partner, who's Billy Evans. He's like this really rich hotel like grandson person. And so yeah, life for her pretty much has changed. If anything, it's a vacation. She's just vacationing, okay? She's living life to the fullest, and it's really sad because Theranos gave over 1 million fake tests to people, and it was bad because those fake tests, people would get them and they'd be like, oh no, I have cancer, or oh no, I don't, when they do. So it did a lot of damage. And this is also part of why I wanted to give this story, for the victims too. And then also because it really set back blood testing for a long time. When people try to make like these ideas similar to Theranos, though they have medical knowledge and background, when they go to investors because they need the money for their research, they get hit with, oh no, that's a scam. We're not going to invest in you. And so this set back medical technology and improvement years just because Elizabeth wanted to be greedy. And this is actually part of her trial investigation, that they were wondering, did she do and conduct Theranos and give the test out while knowing that it didn't work? Or was she just someone that wanted to further the medical field and but without knowing that it didn't work? I'm team, yeah, she knew. She was just too much over her head and couldn't back out. And did she want to? Probably not, because there's even quotes from her that you can see, like journal entries of her that saying that she wanted to be a billionaire. And she did achieve it, but at what cost? And that is actually the end of the podcast. I think I did really well. I'm really excited to be able to listen back on the podcast with you. And before I leave, I always give a song that I'm listening to. Right now, I'm listening to Olivia Holt's History. So that song was actually my top song on my last year's Spotify Wrapped. I played it 750 times last year. So I really like that song, and I wanted to give the recommendation to you, my citrus family. I think you'll enjoy it. And if I'm not with my podcast co-host, the next time I plan on talking about the Tylenol murders. And if I am with him, I'm going to talk about who was in the wrong. It's like these like Reddit thing where people give like their stories. They're like, am I wrong? I don't know. And I think it's going to be really cool. So, before I end, it has been a week for pop culture. My girl, Britney Spears, is pregnant. I hope she has the smoothest pregnancy ever and gives birth to a very healthy child. And then also Bennifer is engaged as Ben Affleck and J-Lo. So I hope they work out. They seem really happy and I'm happy for them. I know like everyone that was like from like the 90s was like, yes, we are happy for this. So yeah, it's been a week and I'm going to see you in the next episode. Thank you so much for listening and have a nice day. Bye-bye.